Good morning. Welcome to La Tortilla and our Paella live feed. I'm Duncan Chisholm and this is La Tortilla. And let me start with a view of the castle because that's important. It's quite nice today. And down this way, it's quite nice down Loch Ness side. Anyway, come in and I'll cook another paella and ramble on about this week's stuff. The door's open today. Can't believe it's actually quite warm today. Last night, as I was heading home, I noticed how the sky was clear, and it was pretty frosty last night, and I was expecting, crikey, I was expecting snow today or something, but it's actually quite nice. Anyway, let me start the paella. Get the pan on. Hello there. Hola.
Hola, ¿ya no has visto cara de españoles?
No, no soy español. Español.
Pero, ¿sabes un poco de español?
Un poco.
Ah.
Ella hablo no español.
Coffee. Oh, y tiene paella, no he visto, ¿no?
Hi, Dad. Welcome to the live feed. So the pan's hot. Some olive oil. And here we have some Spaniards that might just marvel at our meat paella. Of course, paella normally is a kind of a, it's mostly about seafood, I would say. And there are people in Spain, most of Spain, that would say that you should never put chorizo in a paella. So we'll see if we get any feedback on that. Anyway, let's begin. Onions. Peppers. Chicken, if you're putting raw meat in, I'd put it in right at the beginning. Just give it a chance to sear. And chorizo, Pamplona chorizo in this case. And we shall just let that cook away for a minute. An interesting week in the world. We have had the 11th of November. I don't know if anybody was part of any special event on the 11th this week. Juan Carlos, hola. How's life in Bremerhaven? I'm very tired today. I think I can see it in my face. Very tired today. It's been a long week and I had to be in early this morning, so I'm covering in the kitchen just now. So it's been a long week. Look, who's first to tune in today? Mary Joy is watching. Well, hello, Mary. I don't think I've seen Mary Joy before. How have you come to be watching this? Are you somebody that's been in the restaurant and has liked our Facebook page, or have you heard about it some other way? And my dad, so you must be watching this, Dad, kind of post-church. No, it can't be post-church. It's Remembrance Sunday, isn't it? So I think you're actually going to go and do the Cavell Gardens ceremony today, aren't you? In Inverness, for those of you who live in Inverness, there's certain things always happen on Remembrance Sunday. Down at down beside the river, where our main memorial is, there's always a ceremony down there. So I imagine that will have just happened, and my dad will have probably just arrived home. So this week. Hi, Mary Joy. Yeah, so tell me, Mary, how did you come to be there? Helen George is watching. Yes, hello to Bremerhaven. Ellen Cunningham. Yeah, I mean, this week we've had interesting things happening with the Queen. I'm curious to know what people's views on that are. It looks like the Queen may be on her last legs, dare I say it, and it makes me think about how the succession for the Queen might go for Britain. Not that I mean to be, not that I mean to be lacking compassion for the Queen as an old lady. I mean, very sad. She's lost her husband, and obviously that's a very difficult thing for anybody. She's certainly lacking a bit of energy right now, isn't she? But it's worrying because sometimes when people reach that stage in life, they just they lose all their motivation, don't they? But it leads me to wonder, how would it go? Because remember, the pundits used to always say that if Prince Charles were to inherit the throne, that he might well pass it straight on to his son. I was mentioning that to somebody in the kitchen this morning, and they said to me, "Why would that be?" And I went, "I don't know actually." Why would that be? Well, so why was it people said that? I mean, why would Charles do that? What's the advantage of that, I wonder? Any views on that? Any views on how it should be done, or what the purpose of that is? I'll give it a wee shake. Can I have the stock, Lorna? So the peppers and the onions are cut nice and small today, which just speeds up the sautéing process. I've got it on minimum heat. I would say if you've got the time, you should make the time to do this on minimum heat. You want your stock, so that's stage one, the kind of sautéing stage. Stage two is where the stock comes along, and then you add stock followed by any other ingredients, like shellfish, for example, at that point. Yeah, obviously the way you prepare your veg affects how quickly they sauté as well. So this is sautéing quite nice and quick today. I'll show you that in a second before I add the stock. So, Mary Joy, you love cooking. I see. And Ellen Cunningham is in Edinburgh. I can't quite tell from the tiny wee profile picture if I recognise Ellen or not. What about you, Ellen? Are you from Inverness? And Mary, are you in Inverness? Are you familiar with the restaurant? So, yeah, give me your views on the what you think about the kind of the position with our royal family in this country. I'd be interested to know what people think. Great podcast listening for me this week. I've done a fair bit of podcast listening. The Rich Roll podcast, always been my favourite. There's a cracker this week. There's a guy, forget his name. He's got a podcast as well. I've watched his podcast before. He's Australian nutritionist, a real specialist in certain areas of nutrition, particularly in veganism, and Rich Roll's a vegan, and I'm very fascinated with the whole microbiome chat, and this guy is a great, if you look up the Rich Roll podcast, there's a really interesting interview with this Australian nutritionist expert on how we get our nutrition from a vegan diet, and how our microbiome works. Really, really interesting. I really believe that the microbiome is ever more important. It's being recognised as being ever more important. It's a real centre of health, and there's some kind of stat like there's more organisms, microbes, etc., in your microbiome than there is stars in the Milky Way. Within each of us, it's an amazing, it's an amazing kind of health mechanism that we have, and I think it's very relevant to all this COVID immune ability. And I like the fact that it's all connected to food ultimately, because it shows the importance of eating the right thing, and that's obviously what I believe, being a chef. So I think we should be very discerning about what we eat, and ultimately that's good for your microbiome, which creates a good immunity against all these things like COVID. So there's the stock. So at stage 2, I've forgotten an ingredient. Lorna, can you ask Joe to send down the rice? I haven't made up the rice though. So if he fills a gastro up to the line.
I'll grab it together so it's easier then.
Paella con chorizo.
She was a very, very good cookie of paella.
Yes. You want to do it? No, you.
No, I see, yeah. The important de paella is the base, the sofrito. Sofrito que le llaman is like onions.
Pepper.
Do you ever use chorizo in your sofrito?
Yes.
Chorizo en paella, bien o no bien?
Yo no.
I like it.
Lo que sí, but in my house, no.
It's better
Me,
with
first
presa.
of all, I put only vegetable.
Only
And
vegetable.
when finish the vegetable, I add the meat. Okay, but it's good. Okay. And tomato, do you put any tomato?
No, but I like tomato too.
A little tomato, natural tomato, you just. And the rice we put when you all is finished, this one. When you finish, I put the rice.
Like now?
No,
No.
I finish first meat and vegetable. When finished, I put the rice and the soup. This one, okay?
The
It's
caldo.
good. The caldo,
Yeah.
perfect.
Interesante.
Otra cosa importante, muy buena, like salmorejo. Do you know salmorejo?
Salmorejo.
It's
Very
really
good.
famous in Spain and it's good. Salmorejo is only tomato,
Gazpacho.
I like
gazpacho, but
similar.
no with bread.
Ah.
Bread.
Okay.
Okay?
Bread.
No here. Salmorejo is like
I see. Before the bread.
tomato, oil,
And bread.
and bread.
Okay.
And salt.
Yeah.
Olive, todo mix, and it's really good.
In
It's
Spain,
really
like people salmorejo.
Recuerdo, es near Madrid, in the south.
Andalucía.
And flamenquines. Do you know flamenquines? Flamenquines?
Ramen. No, I don't know.
Me está mirando todo. Pero qué
¿Me está grabando? No, no.
Sí, me está grabando.
¿De vídeo? Huele bien.
¿De dónde eres?
Córdoba.
Córdoba.
Córdoba
Okay.
is in
Near
near
Sevilla.
Mezquita. You know, Mezquita is next near Sevilla.
You like Spain?
Sí,
Have you ever been to Spain?
sí, mucho.
Where? Málaga?
Todos regiones.
In Verdes is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very cold.
Yeah, yeah.
No, not all. It's good.
We have had many Spanish people come to work here. Mucha gente españoles trabajo aquí.
¿Sí?
¿Le gusta comer aquí? Sí, ¿no?
Sí, pero eventually, it's too cold for them.
It's cold, no hot.
Come on.
Yes, when you finish, you put, you serve with egg boiled and jam.
With egg. Okay, the egg white. El blanco de huevos.
Yes.
Sí.
It's like this.
We have a restaurant
Only
in Spain.
only tomato, oil,
Mhm.
garlic, a little garlic, but bread.
We have two
Only.
restaurants in
It's
Spain.
really, really nice.
Mm.
You
Per-
must try.
Perfecto. Set to calor. No. If you are hot. Perfect for a hot place.
Yes, but
In-
in Spain,
I don't imagine salmorejo.
every year take salmorejo. Pero voy a enseñar.
This is our restaurant
We have a restaurant in Córdoba,
in Córdoba.
near the
This is
mezquita.
our restaurant. Salmorejo.
Taberna.
Adora mezquita. Like the same mezquita.
This is flamenquines.
Bonito.
Yeah.
Oh.
Flamenquines is really
This is
good.
really good.
It's meat, jam, and roll.
Mhm.
And after you put in it and
This is the
bread.
place of the restaurant.
I want to visit.
Yes,
Yes.
it's really nice. ¿Y le has enseñado la página web de Instagram? ¿De cuál de ahora?
Salmorejo.
In your restaurant.
Yes, in my restaurant. Croquetas, arroz.
This is like flamenquín. It's como,
Oh, I want to.
mira, like this.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
How do you manage to get a holiday?
Oh, when you want, you have
We have a hotel in Córdoba.
in Córdoba. hotel.
Okay, I'm going to do
When
it.
you want,
I'm
come,
going to do it.
come to
Yeah, this
Córdoba.
one
And learn
Yes.
more
is. Your,
cooking in Spain.
this is
Can you,
salmorejo. It's like when you
Nice.
finish, you put on, and this berenjena, like you have here berenjena, no? It's with milk,
Con
honey.
rebozado.
rebozado, exacto. Y la paella, tenemos paella, es nuestro arroz también.
You must leave your details, your is it your information, your restaurant nombre.
Taberna Agora Mezquita.
Yeah, can you have you got a card or Laura? I'm gonna visit. I'm gonna get soy Duncan.
Escribe Taberna Agora Mezquita. If you want to leave,
El patio,
this is our restaurant.
vamos a ver. Ese es otro que es black, rice black.
It's calamar.
With calamari. We do that one here too.
Hmm?
We do.
I make that no here, but in my house sometimes like when you finish, put another one. It's a good idea here. Pero si esa.
Escríbelo aquí, este es el restaurante.
Well, hopefully some of that made sense. This is so these people have a restaurant in Cordoba. I think I've only been to Cordoba once. For a moment. I want to visit, and I need a holiday.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm serious actually. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Yeah, and Scotland is beautiful if you have a jumper.
Ah, vale.
Taberna, Ágora del Quita y Hotel, Arreglos de
okay.
Maestres con esta hotel.
Escuela?
Yes, is the name.
It's-
When you go to Spain, to Portugal,
Escuela de qué?
No,
no,
Maestra Escuela is the name.
Oh,
is the name. Is this one.
Era for the hotel.
This is the hotel when you go to
Good music. Spanish music. Amaral.
Radio.
Radio B.
Was
It's a
it?
good idea.
Dial.
Dial.
Yeah.
Cadena Dial. No?
That's it, sí, sí.
Sí, cadena Dial.
It's a good idea. And we make a web doing
You have not people, Spanish people work here with you?
Not this year, because Brexit and
Nice.
COVID kept doing shutdowns, so
Very nice.
travelling, okay,
Una tía.
It's good the Brexit for the
Yeah.
country.
Well, time will tell.
Well, you're getting an interesting live feed today. You're getting you're getting the joy of watching me speak to somebody in the restaurant. It's really interesting though. I mean, these people have got a hotel and a restaurant in Cordoba, and I haven't been to Andalusia for a while, Dad. Talking of which, my dad will be interested in the Andalusian chat. Going back a wee bit in chat here. So Mary Joy loves cooking, the joy of cooking, and Wayne Simpson is now watching. Mary Joy lives in the seaboard villages. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but seaboard villages in Scotland, in Scottish terms, is what we describe as East Coast, yeah? Sort of, generally speaking, kind of, sort of between Inverness and Aberdeen, and maybe, I suppose down the East Coast generally, isn't it? Tends to be the East Coast that's called the seaboard as opposed to the West Coast, for some reason. Am I right? That's how I always think of it anyway. Gavidas Grithiunas is watching. I remember that.
Okay, thank you. Gracias.
Gracias.
Bien viajes.
When you come to Spain, to go to him. Okay.
Adios. Derek Passmore is watching. That was a flying visit. I must have.
That was nice, though.
Absolutely. I must have.
There's 3 hotels and there's 2 restaurants.
I must have scared them with my alarming lack of Spanish. Do you know, I think it's been so long since a Spanish person's worked here. Every time in the past, when we had a Spanish person working here, I would use the opportunity to practice my Spanish. But because it's been so long since we had a Spanish person, my Spanish is definitely getting rustier. Well, that's great. So, I looked at the pictures they showed me on their phone there. That looks like a great restaurant. And they showed me the food. The food looked like proper local food. You know, it looked like a proper local restaurant. So there you go, that place. And if you want all the details, just send me a message and I'll pass it on. If you fancy going to Cordoba, Cordoba is a famous city in Spain. You know, it's a one of the key cities in Andalusia in the south. It was, I think I'm right in saying it was one of the last bastions of the Moorish Empire. I think when the Moors were being driven out of Spain, it might have been Cordoba. It's either Cordoba, Granada, or Sevilla. I'm pretty sure. That was their kind of their strongholds. So I think I've just been to Cordoba once before, and I don't think I've even stayed a night there. So I think that's long overdue. I shall pop that to one side and plan a wee trip. So Derek Passmore's watching. Ryrie Oak says and garlic, and I think I may have missed what came before that, Ryrie. And garlic, yes. Oh, were you listening to the chat I was having with the couple there from the couple from Andalusia? They seem really nice. I think you should go and stay in their hotel. Yeah, garlic. Derek Passmore, hello. We're due a catch up, Derek. I haven't seen you in ages. Come in. I'd love to get a catch up on, on the Passmore family, and your old mate, the wine man. God, his name escapes me right now. I wouldn't mind hearing stories of him as well. Dorothy McLeod is watching. Yeah, so Juan Carlos Lopez was obviously listening to the chat there as well. Yeah, well, you called it Salmoretta. I think that may be a slightly different pronunciation from where you come from. Is that because you're from the north, I think, aren't you? And yeah, flamenquines. Oh my goodness, you should have seen the flamenquines. We'll have to look that up and chat about that afterwards. I have seen them before, actually. I'd forgotten all about that dish, but it looks preppable. I think we should do that as a special. Yeah, what do you think, Juan Carlos? Flamenquines as a special tapa in the restaurant. Dimitri Andreas, Kirstine McIntosh. And moving on, Adam Bradley says, fantastic, great to see the knowledge sharing. I enjoy that part of the restaurant too. We get Spanish people in here, we get lots of tourists in here, and I enjoy the chat, people's kind of shared understanding of Spanish culture and restaurants. I enjoy all that chat. Yeah, Juan Carlos is from Galicia, that's right. So I think your spelling of Salmorejo was slightly different. Salmoreto, I think you called it. Martin Stewart's watching, hello. And Johan Dios is watching. So this stage of the paella, the recipe I use is one that we find is a kind of a foolproof recipe for the restaurant here. I've reduced the recipe to 3 stages, and every ingredient can be added at one of those 3 stages. Stage 1 was the sofrito, the sautéing your base ingredients. Stage 2 was the stock stage, and Derek's in Tenerife. How appropriate that you're in Tenerife, as they would say. So yeah, watching us from Spain put us in the mood for heading out for some paella for lunch. Well, send me a picture. But yeah, it'd be lovely to see you guys when you get back. You can show me your suntan, because I know in Tenerife they get sun all year round there. Juan Carlos learned his chefing in Granada, in Andalusia, Granada, not so very far away from Cordoba. And look at that. Johan Dios says that Granada was the last Moorish stronghold. Okay, so it was in fact Granada. I knew it was one of those 3. Yeah, because there's famous stories, isn't there, from back then about how the Moors held out, and kind of there was final settlements and agreements, and I think in the end the Moors were given an ultimatum, something along the lines of they had to adopt Catholicism. They had to renounce their religion if they were going to be allowed to stay, and that's why, and they had to demonstrate that by hanging ham from their door, something like that. Is that urban myth or what? Because of course the Moors, being Muslims, couldn't eat ham, and so they were kind of forced to eat ham as a kind of a settlement for the whole massive dispute which had been running for decades, I think. Chris McLeod watching, and so ended the Moorish influence in Europe, and that's quite amazing, actually, isn't it? Because that's just not far from our doorstep, and I think a lot of people from this country, at that time, went over there to take part in the conquests, and because there was that kind of religious fanaticism back then, where people were trying to establish control for their religion, which in our case was Catholicism back then, even in Britain. So Granada was, that was reconquered in 1492. What does that mean? Does that mean the Moors came back in 1492 and then ended up in Granada? So we're at I can hear by the sound that we're at the last stage of the paella. So you add your last ingredients. This is just ingredients that need heated really at this point. Probably already cooked. In our case, just peas. And then the way to do it is when the stock goes below the surface of the rice, cover it, turn the heat off for 10 minutes, and that way you can't ever burn it. And ideally, you want your rice to come out quite moist with a little bit of stock left. In my opinion, that's the way I like it. I don't like it to be too dry, because obviously you could cook it out without putting the lid on at all. Some in Spain, some people do that deliberately because they want to kind of toast the bottom, but I don't like it too dry either. That's my personal preference. So I'd say, let me give a close-up of this. I'll show you how that looks like. I think that looks nae bad. I will just stick the lid on. Turn the heat off. And then I will take you all behind the bar. Wow, it's funny being back to November. You know, we were really busy this year, right through. We were busy this year, right through October. As Lorna tries to avoid getting caught on the camera, she just about. Are you being camera shy? Yeah, I mean, we've had a great year, I have to say. So thank you all of you for that have made that possible. We've had a lot of customers that have been very supportive through COVID, and we've come out of it very strongly, I think. And but since it's like the minute November started, it's kind of back to normal November trade, which is quiet. You know, November is a quiet time in the restaurant business, and it's a bit of a shock for us all, I think. And then it's going to be Christmas soon. Who's coming for tapas for Christmas? You know, are people going to be allowed to, you know, or it's not about allowed, but you know, you're allowed to come out for Christmas group dinners. But are people going to have the confidence? You think? Do offices, workplaces have the confidence to go for group dinners? What is your workplace saying? Are they saying they're not going to do it because of COVID? Are they doing something else? Kevin Cran wants to know if I'm making sangria this time. Well, I made sangria last week, Kevin. I don't know if you were watching or not. Sonja Christie is watching. I don't think I've seen Sonja Christie watching before. Jimmy McLennan is watching all the way from Stornoway. All the way from Stornoway. Is that part of a song? Take a boat to Stornoway. No.
You want to do?
Jimmy, you might know what I'm referring to. I'm sure there's a song that's something along those lines. Cooking and history lessons, all in one. Enjoyable watching, says Jimmy McLennan. Yeah, well, actually, you've given me an idea. Maybe what I need to do is, I keep talking about, you know, this better organisation one day. Susan's now getting to help. I've had a word with her, and she's going to get to work on helping me organise the live feeds. But we'll maybe bring in some other elements to it, like a bit of Spanish history is quite good, isn't it? Sort of like interesting stories from Spain that helps make up the culture that develops the food. You know, kind of that kind of a link. You know how, like that story I just told you about the ham. I'd like to read into that more and find out if that's just urban myth or whether, you know, how true that was. I think the government of Spain at the time actually forced the Muslims in effect to eat ham. I think that was their punishment. Well, worse things happen at sea. Johan Dio says, as you mentioned, a bit of history. And look, okay, so there's a link for you all. I don't know what you're posting there. What was that? It looked like it was something about Robert the Bruce. What's that got to do with? Did Robert the Bruce ever go to Spain? That'd be an interesting little story, wouldn't it? So Johan Dios is saying, it'll probably pay you a visit next week. I'll probably pay you a visit next week. I'm in need of replenishing some of the good wine you got there. Yes, we do. I maybe don't talk about it enough, but we really do. But there was a customer in yesterday who was former sommelier in a decent restaurant, and he was complimenting me on the wine list. We've always gone to a lot of trouble here to have nice wine. You know, I always say that. We have never done kind of standard cheap anything. The wine's always decent. We try and get good wine at a good price. It's not, you know, there's obviously a limit to how expensive a wine we can sell, but it's not the kind of, you know, if you go into Witherspoons or you know, your typical pubs and order a wine, it won't be anything like you'll get here. So it's that kind of different. Wee bit more expensive, a lot better. Oh, I like that. Wee bit more expensive, a lot better. That's what it is.
T-shirt material.
I'm looking to see what Chuan Dios is saying. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Jimmy McLennan says, "Make your way to Stornoway." That's the lyrics. Song title and invitation. Oh, nice. Jimmy, I've got a few people to visit. My Auntie Christine in Ness, her husband, Uncle Finlay, died 2 weeks ago. So there's another reason to go to Stornoway. It's been on my mind. And then we've got John Smith to visit in Stornoway. I need to represent La Tortilla to visit one of our best customers in Stornoway as well. So we've got a couple of really, really important customers to visit in Stornoway. So that'd be great, Jimmy, actually. Arrange a kind of a live feed from Jimmy's garden. What about that? Have you got a garden, Jimmy? Could that be done? And do you have contacts? Like, you know, I could cook a paella with your favourite fisherman's fish. That'd be great fun, wouldn't it? I need a really strong Wi-Fi signal to do it. I've tried this in the past and it's fallen down on the quality of my signal. I need either a really top 4G or a good Wi-Fi to make it work. Yeah, I know. Lauren has pointed out the fact that our Wi-Fi here has, you know, we've got this new broadband in Inverness, which we have been supposed to be connected to now for weeks, and it's still not connected. Anyway, and it's causing us lots of problems. I've got to say, if anybody from the broadband company is watching, what problems we've got in the restaurant. Wi-Fi every day. We're having to disconnect, reconnect, wait all the time for all the stuff. It's really, but it shows you what it's like running a business these days. You're so dependent on the internet, and if you don't have a decent connection, it's hard work. So, glass of wine.
Menthia. That's what I was thinking.
There's this lovely little Menthia here called Mereo. That's quite tasty. Don't know what price that is on the menu. I think it's 25-ish quid a bottle to drink in. If you want to take it home, 15 quid to take home, something like that. £10 less than whatever it is in the restaurant. And we have a couple of glasses there, so I shall pop it over there, and then I'll go round and see how it goes with this paella. I think it might go well because Menthia I think will stand up well to the chorizo, the meaty paella, because this is our usual meaty paella I'm cooking today. Yeah, I wonder if Robert the Bruce ever went to Spain. There's another thing I could do a little bit of research into. Susan, if you're watching this, there's a bit of kind of programming we could do for this as well. Is we could look into where areas where Spanish culture and Scottish culture meet. So famous Spaniards that have been to Scotland and vice versa. Hello, Roy Giovanni. Jimmy says he's got a garden and fish, but poor Wi-Fi. So Mareo, let's see how this looks. Look at that colour. %13.5%. Bierzo. I've got a map, Lorna, of the, don't know where Lorna is. I've got a map of all the wine regions in Spain. I must look that out. That would be quite a useful thing to have stuck on the wall for these chats. So Mencia is in, I think I'm right in saying Galicia. It's up in the north somewhere. So somewhere up in the north of Spain this comes from. It's got a lovely kind of ruby colour. I always, when I'm talking about wine, I like to kind of tell you, what goes through my mind and kind of analyse it, why we do it. I'm almost curious as to why do we analyse wine like that prior to drinking it. I think it's got to do with our, kind of appreciation, heightening our kind of anticipation. It's got a kind of a jammy nose. It's got a jammy nose. There's a T-shirt. La Tortilla, the wine range. It's got a jammy nose. I've got a jammy nose. And let's see how it tastes before we eat the pie. Nice, fruity. The high alcohol is okay. Sometimes it can be a bit imbalanced. That works nicely. I like that. Nice aftertaste. Nothing harsh or unpleasant. Yeah, actually there is. There's a good lingering fruity aftertaste. I think it's lovely. So let me now do the same thing with the paella. Oh yeah, I did take down some lemon. I'll spare you my lemon rant today, but lemon is good. Lemon's such an important thing, or citrus in general, I suppose, in the world of food. One other thing I didn't take over here is a fork. Just a sec. And I'll give a plate to Lorna because she looks like she's fading away. There we go, first you take that. Lorna's had a very busy weekend as always. We need to arrange some holidays for you, Lorna. Lorna doesn't do holiday. Yeah, we need to work out how we're going to do that. I think after Christmas we need to send you off for a few weeks. What would you do if you had a few weeks on your hands?
Somewhere nice.
Go somewhere nice.
Something warm.
What about going to Andalusia
I like yes, I've been quite a few times.
and visit that hotel that we just saw?
I mean, some parts of it are quite personalised though, but quite early years are quite nice.
Maybe we could set up a kind of a relationship between us and that restaurant. Some kind of special staff training deal.
That sounds like a plan.
So, let's see how this goes down.
Oh, it's very hot.
It is hot.
Oh, nice.
Shame. Why is it so hot today? It's mind-blowingly hot today.
Very hot.
Hi, Fiona Fraser. Can't quite tell from the picture which Fiona Fraser that is. So, the paella, I'm quite happy with that. Maybe, oh, it's hot. Maybe a little bit short on seasoning today. I eyeballed it today. I was in a rush, and I just threw in a bit of seasoning. I didn't put enough paprika in it. It's a bit short on paprika, but it's okay. So let's see what happens to the wine now. And this is kind of the fun bit. I think it's really interesting to see what effect the food and the wine have on each other, because they almost always do have an effect on each other. You know, that paella has added value to that wine. No question about it. Works very well. And what usually happens is that the food will smooth out any harshness in the wine. So you are literally adding value to your wine by drinking it with food. You know, if you need any better reason just to enjoy your wine better, then do them together. Go to a restaurant. Go to a decent restaurant with decent fresh food and decent wine. I say decent fresh food because that's my usual kind of little recommendation from the world of restaurants is eating in your local restaurant is actually quite a healthy thing to do on the whole. I mean, obviously it depends on what you buy, but in terms of let's say calorie content. I mean, in terms of calorie content, you can be careful to not choose food that's too high calorie, or even then, high calorie is not necessarily a problem if it's in balance with your lifestyle and the rest of your week. But my point is, with local restaurants, you're getting food that is generally made fresh, to be consumed there, and it's not made to last on a supermarket shelf. So that's the point I always make. Whilst the food that you buy in the supermarket may be really cheap and convenient and easy to cook and taste great, it won't be as great. So it's this thing I always go on about. Just because it looks good and tastes good doesn't mean it is good. And I think the modern consumer is becoming very aware of that, and I think that's great for the world of restaurants. And it's going to be a disaster for the world of supermarkets. But that's fine. It'll drive people to fresh food again. Nice to see you make a paella. Looks very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. or Miss Dios. I forget which you are. I think you're a miss, are you? So I think that's me just about done my thing. I'm going to finish this because I'm feeling a bit tired today. I'm sorry if I lack enthusiasm today. I'm definitely feeling a long week. And as any chef will tell you, I mean, not that it particularly applies to me, because not all my work's been in the kitchen this week, but Sundays are always a day when chefs are tired. So lots of respect to all the chefs out there. Another thing I need to bring into my live feed is I want to try and make the viewer more familiar with what a chef does. So I'm going to take this into other areas of the restaurant, and so you can see why it's so hard to get chefs, because you know it's a difficult job. So thanks for watching, and who knows, next Sunday I might come up with something a little bit more interesting. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.